When you're young, people tell you that life is short. But when you're older, you realize life only feels short if you stop living it. This is the story of Margaret, a woman who learned that starting over isn't about going back. It's about moving forward, even when you think your time has passed. Margaret had just turned 60. Her husband was gone, her kids had moved out, and the house felt too quiet. The kind of quiet that doesn't bring peace, only echoes. She used to be a teacher, full of energy and laughter, but ever since retirement, her days blurred together. Wake up, coffee, news, dishes, sleep, repeat. Sometimes she'd stare at old photos, the classroom, her students, her family dinners, and whisper to herself, "That was my life. I guess it's over now." But deep down, a small voice argued back, "What if it isn't?" One Sunday morning, while walking through the park, she saw a group of young people painting a mural on the side of a community center. They laughed, shared brushes, and played music from a little speaker. For the first time in months, Margaret felt curious. She stopped to watch. One of the artists, a girl with blue hair and paint on her jeans, noticed her. "Hey, you want to try?" she asked, handing Margaret a paintbrush. Margaret chuckled. "Oh no, I haven't painted in years, probably since grade school." The girl smiled. "Perfect. Then you're overdue." Something about that moment made Margaret take the brush. She dipped it into yellow paint and slowly drew a small sun in the corner of the wall. It wasn't perfect, but it made her heart light up. That night, she couldn't stop thinking about that sun. The next day, she went back, not to watch, but to help. Within a few weeks, she was volunteering regularly. She painted, cleaned, helped organize events. She laughed more. She met people half her age who treated her not like some old lady, but like a friend. One afternoon, while cleaning brushes, a man named George, a retired carpenter, said to her, "You ever notice how life gives you a second draft? You just have to be brave enough to write it." That sentence hit her harder than she expected. That night, Margaret opened an old box in her closet. Inside were notebooks full of short stories she'd written when she was younger. She used to dream of publishing a children's book, but had buried that dream under real life. Her fingers trembled as she flipped through the pages. The stories were simple but full of heart. For the first time in decades, she sat down at her kitchen table, opened her laptop and began typing. At first, the words came slow. She made mistakes. She felt rusty. But every night she wrote. One page turned into 10, 10 into 50. And slowly, Margaret began to feel alive again. Months passed. One afternoon, her daughter Emma called. "Mom, what have you been up to lately?" she asked. Margaret hesitated and then smiled. "Oh, just painting a little and writing again." There was a pause. Then Emma laughed softly. "Mom, that's amazing. You sound happy." "I am," Margaret said. And she meant it. A year later, Margaret self-published her first children's book, The Little Sun That Kept Shining. It was about a tiny sun who thought it was too small to light the world, until it realized even a little warmth can make someone's day brighter. The local library invited her to read it for a group of kids. She was nervous, her hands shaking as she held the book. But when she began reading, the children's faces lit up, and suddenly she wasn't 60 anymore. She was that same teacher who used to believe in dreams. After the reading, a little girl hugged her and said, "I want to write a book too someday." Tears filled Margaret's eyes. "You should," she said softly, "and don't wait as long as I did." As she walked home that evening, the sky glowed orange, the same color as the sun she'd painted on the mural that day. She realized something beautiful. Starting over doesn't mean you failed. It means you're still brave enough to try. And maybe, just maybe, the best chapters of your life aren't the ones you've already written, but the ones you haven't begun yet. Margaret's story reminds us all, you're never too old, too late, or too broken to begin again. Dreams don't have expiration dates, passion doesn't age, and purpose doesn't retire. So if you're standing at the edge of change, scared, uncertain, wondering if it's worth it, remember Margaret. Remember the sun she painted when she thought her days of creating were done. Remember the book she wrote when she believed her story was over. Because as long as you're breathing, you can still rewrite your story. And maybe the next chapter will be your best one yet, It's never too late to start again, because as long as your heart is beating, life isn't done teaching you how to live. If you liked this story, don't forget to subscribe and share it. Your support means a lot. Thank you for being here.